40 mile high. Okay, now this song is interactive, and I'm going to ask you to do a few things, but it's going to make you feel real good. And the person next to you is going to make them feel even better. All right? Here we go. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. We come together in the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together. We come together. We come together in the name of love. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, God loves you and I love you too. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. Every walk of life. Every creed and color. Every creed. God in each other. Oh, take a look at the person next to you. Say, namaste, I bow to you. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voices and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together in the name of love. Oh, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love.
Eddie Watkins Jr. Yes, we come together. Well, welcome everyone. I'm Barbara Schreiner-Trudell. Welcome to CSL on the Lake and our land acknowledgement. We work, live, and play in the modern city of Toronto and, of course, all across Turtle Island. And this is the historical and traditional territory of many Indigenous nations, including the Anishinaabe and Wendat peoples, and more recently, the Mississaugas of Credit and Haudenosaunee nations. And as we gather from many places, we as settlers are grateful for the opportunity to meet here, and we're thankful for all the generations of people who have taken care of these lands for thousands of years. This includes the Métis, Inuit, and all other Indigenous people. And although I am not a person of African descent, I'm committed to continually acting in support of and in solidarity with Black communities seeking freedom and reparative justice in light of the history and ongoing legacy of slavery that continues to impact Black communities in Canada as well as the US. And as part of this commitment, I would also like to acknowledge that not all people came to these lands as migrants and settlers. Specifically, I wish to acknowledge those of us who came here involuntarily, particularly those brought to these lands as a result of the transatlantic slave trade and slavery. In support of our ongoing efforts to confront anti-Black racism, we pay tribute to those ancestors of African origin and descent. We also acknowledge the contributions made both in shaping and strengthening our community and our country. By making this acknowledgement, we strive to be allies and take an active part in reconciliation. We recognize our oneness, we realize our history, and we choose to create a new reality. We are one. At CSL on the Lake, our vision statement is transforming humanity through the emergence of the sacred, authentic self. Well, here for Black History Month, we have a Canadian moment. Harry Winston Jerome, the picture you see there is a sculpture that is on in Vancouver. He was a Canadian track and field sprinter and phys ed teacher, and he won a bronze medal at the 1964 Olympics in Tokyo and set a total of 7 world records over the course of his career. Harry Jerome was born in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan on September 30th, 1940, and later moved to North Van, BC. He was a member of the Canadian track and field, and in 1960, 64, and 68, the Summer Olympics, winning the 100-meter bronze in 64. He won the gold at the 1966 British Empire and Commonwealth Games held in Kingston, Jamaica. And during his career, Jerome set a total of 7 world records, including tying the 100-meter record at 10 seconds in 1960, equaling the mark established a month earlier by Germany's Armin Harry. Later, he tied the world record for the 100-yard dash at 9.3 seconds, making Jerome one of the few athletes to own both the 100-yard and 100-meter world records simultaneously. Wow, now there's a hero of Canadian origin. All right, and now let us just join together in consciousness as Rico takes us into meditation.
Hello, everyone. I'm hoping you can hear me. Ernest Holmes writes that we sit in meditation to consciously unite with our infinite source, allowing the cosmic stream of goodness to flow to us in an unobstructed channel. Keeping that in mind, I invite you to gather with me, if you will. Close your eyes, if you wish, and become aware of your breath. Become aware of any noise around you. Simply observe it. Voices in your head, all of it are welcome. Befriend it all in this moment as we continue to breathe. Now you find yourself surrounded by a large group of your friends and family. And this room is loud, and you're just observing it. You're observing them, and they are paying no particular attention to you. Notice how you're feeling right now. Are you comfortable? Are you lonely, afraid, hot, cold? Is there anything in your hand? What are you doing with your hands? Now you hear someone call your name. It's a familiar voice. You know who it is. You know this voice. And you turn to see who it is, finding yourself outside, alone, in nature. Whatever nature means to you, it could be an open field, it could be the mountains, it could be just lost in the trees, the jungle. And this voice continues calling you. You follow it with abandon. And suddenly, your nature, whatever it is, begins to rumble. And with this rumble, the earth in front of you, all that's in front of you, swings inward, leaving an opening. And this voice gets louder. It tells you to jump. So you jump or step inside this opening. It is dark. The path illuminates before you as you take each step. As you look to your right, the rocks and roots begin to glow. As you turn to the left, you see hieroglyphics and drawings. They seem to move and guide you further along. Where are we? What is this place? And yet you continue to move forward in the darkness. And you sense something up ahead, a stillness that resembles nothing. A stillness that is deafening and yet warm. And you take one last step and come to a small lake, a body of water. And it glimmers and shines from the bottom as you approach it. You see fish swimming, colors dancing. It's vibrating with life. And yet it's still, so still and calm. and deep and bottomless, really. And breathe. Suddenly you begin to feel giddy as you were 10 years old and you want to play. You feel the rocks and stones beneath your feet. You pick up a stone and you want to throw it as far as you can, but stop. Who are you? You hear it. Who are you? Again. Who are you? Take another breath. And from deep inside you, you throw the stone as hard as you can. I am. I am. I am. I am. I am. Echoes back to you as you watch the stone hit the water. Plunk. Silence again. The water rippling back to you. Peace. You pick up another stone and throw it. I am. I am. I am. I am. The stone flies and plunk. Silence as the water ripples back to you. Love. You pick up two stones, throw them. I am, I am, I am, I am, watching them fly further and further until plunk, plunk, the water ripples, joy and health, all that is. You hear your friends and family wondering where you are. Where did you go? What happened to them? Before you turn, take this moment. Look around you. See the water, alive and wise. Kneel down and cup the water in your hands and drink, giving thanks. Now, turn. Your friends and family are looking at you, staring, bewildered. What in wonder? Where have you been? What happened to you? To which you answer, I am here. And with that, we come back into this room, knowing where we are and who we are. So it is.
And just before we do this, again, we did this for Orlando, but it's for you, broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise like the day. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. Be you, be you. When the silence ain't quiet and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, and I know you feel like dying, oh, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Ooh, we can move mountains, yes we can. Ooh, mountains. And I'll rise like the day. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. and for that we have each other. Yeah, we will rise, we will rise, we'll rise. Oh.
the battle. The day arrived. The student warrior stood on one side and fear stood on the other. The warrior was feeling very small and fear was looking big and wrathful. They both had their weapons. The young warrior roused herself and went toward fear, prostrated 3 times and asked, "May I have permission to go into battle with you?" Fear said, "Thank you for showing me so much respect that you ask permission." Then the young warrior said, "How can I defeat you?" Fear replied, "My weapons are that I talk fast and I get very close to your face. Then you get completely unnerved and you do whatever I say." Isn't that kind of how it works? That we sit back and we're thinking about something new we want to do, or something we're excited about, or maybe not excited about. Maybe we're being called to do something that's different than what we're accustomed to. And so we sit back and we're kind of in that place of going, wow, is this the right thing for me? Like, should I do this? Should I not do this? And what's fascinating is that if we will just stand up and face that fear head on, what happens is there is a shift that takes place, that there's a sense of confidence that's built in us. Michelle Obama wrote in her book, what's it called again? I keep forgetting the name of it. The Light Within Us, I think is what it's called. And she writes in there about being 6 years old and getting to dance at an event that her aunt was putting on at the church concert. And so she was going to twirl in front of the Christmas tree. And she got to wear a red velvet dress and these wonderful patent leather shoes. And she was really excited. But when she arrived there, it was different. The stage was all set. There was gifts around the tree. And there was this big stuffed frog with great big black eyes. And it scared her. And so she had gone to her aunt. She didn't want to go up. She didn't want to do it. She was too afraid. And her aunt basically looked at her and said, "Well, whatever, it's up to you. Do it or don't do it. Doesn't matter to me," basically. And so here's this little 6-year-old going, "Well, I've got this pretty dress and these great shoes." And she decided to step forward and check out what was under that tree so that she could make a decision about whether or not she was brave enough to do this. And what she realized is that what she was fearing was nothing at all, that it was the imagination running wild. But also what it taught her was that she has the ability to choose. It taught her to be strong, that in the face of something, explore it, be curious, look a little closer, and you just might find something different. When we look beneath the surface, when we stop looking at, what's going on in the media or what's happening right in front of us, if we will go deep within ourselves, go deep within that very essence of who we are, what happens is we find a nugget, we find that divine essence, we find the possibility of something great and wonderful. Keep in mind that each one of us is created unique. Each one of us is created special. There's something within us that is our own little thing, right? There's something that I can do that no one else can do in the way that I do it. And there's something you can do that no one else can do in the way that you do it. And the universe is calling us to step into our greatness, to let our genius run wild, to stand up, be seen and be heard, to stand out rather than fitting in. It's time for us to open our minds and hearts and to become what we were created to be. We're not broken. We're not flawed. Everything that has ever happened in our lifetime has brought us to this now moment. How cool is that? There are really no mistakes. And so as we're journeying along, if we will go a little bit deeper, if we will look in here rather than out there, what happens is we start to see the strength, the power, the possibility that we have within us. We begin to connect to that divine essence. We begin to see who we really are and what we're capable of. That's the great message. The great message is already within you. There is everything you need. We have that little something, something that's unique to us. Ernest Holmes said that there's a power for good in the universe and you can use it. I rephrased it slightly. There's a power for good in the universe and you are using it. Now, you might be using it in a way that's holding you back and causing you to stumble and creating a little hell on your journey. But you can flip that. You see, the good news and the bad news is you're creating your reality. It's the good and the bad news, right? Now, the good news is if I created something that I'm not comfortable with, I have the ability to change that, to alter that, to begin to create something new. And that's what we're looking for. That's the life that we're living. That is the journey that we're on, that we can begin to create something beautiful and profound if we will allow ourselves to look beyond what has already been created. Step back for a moment and recognize that with curiosity and with a sense of discovery and possibility, with a desire to understand, we can see so much deeper. We can go within ourselves and find an inner strength that maybe we'd forgotten we had, or something that we maybe didn't even know we had, but it's there. It's there, I promise you. There is, in Conversations with God, Neil Donald Walsh uses the phrase false evidence appearing real. I think it came originally out of the Course in Miracles. False evidence appearing real. I mean, think about it. Most of what goes on in our lives, most of the things that are happening around us, most of this stuff is really an experience of, pardon me, an experience of allowing life to kind of get the better of us, that we're looking out here at what already has been done, going, okay, now how do I fit into that? And the thing is, it's done. If we can see it in front of us, it's already manifest, it's done. What we want to do is go back to first cause. We want to go back to that essence within us, that power within us, and allow ourselves to find a new idea, a new possibility, something that is ready to move and flow out from us. And we have the ability to do that. We are powerful beyond measure. We are able to create absolutely anything. And the reason we don't is because something in our mind has said, I'm less than, I'm not enough, or I'm not good enough, or I made mistakes. Well, I'd like whoever in this room has not made a mistake, please raise your hand. I better put mine down, right? We all make mistakes. However, are they really mistakes if they take us on a trajectory that gets us where we wanted to go in the first place? I think not. That somehow everything is working out perfectly, even when it seems like it isn't. And so we turn around and we choose life and we look at it from different vantage points. And when we look at the things that we're most afraid of, if you really reflect back on your life for just a moment, I hate going backwards, but just for a moment, if we look back over our life experience, what we soon discover is that there have been events that have seemed really, really terrible at the time. We were in that moment of hell. But as we reflect years later back on that event, we realize how far it's taken us. That failure or that difficulty showed us how to shift, to move, to change direction, to alter our course so that we could begin to create that which we now have. I look at the journey that I've walked, and man, it's had its ups and downs. But I'm grateful for all of it because I'm here. And I love my life today. I love the journey that I'm on and the things that I'm doing. And I'm excited every moment by what is possible. And I wouldn't have got there had I not tripped and fallen along the way. I love at Verity, there's a song they used to sing in the choir about, a saint is just a sinner that got up. And I want us to think about that. I mean, when we think about sin, that means to miss the mark, right? To err, to make a mistake, or a supposed mistake. But the thing is, we keep getting up. Michelle Obama got up on that stage and twirled and danced and had a wonderful time. Once she got past the fear, the illusion that was holding her back. So I ask you, what's holding you back? What is it that you dream about, think about, imagine for your life and your experience that you're resisting at the moment? What is the thing that you want more than anything else? And yet there's a part of you that won't step into it, won't step forward, that you're busy fitting in and being acceptable and fitting into the norm of society at the moment, what people want you to be or do or have. And instead of standing out loud and saying, hey, check it out, here I am, you're shrinking. Where in your life might you be doing that? And if you are, I invite you to just toss it, because enough is enough. right? That's not how we were made to live. We're created in the image, likeness of this divine intelligence, this infinite universe, which means we already are perfect, whole, and complete. We were created in a specific way to do a specific thing. And if we're not doing that, if we're not shining our light, then we're putting in time. For what? Because what's the end result? Right? I put in time until I lay this body down. I put in time until I get to retire. I put in time until what? I'm here to tell you that beneath the surface, there's something raging inside of you, a creative process that's just yelling and pushing and prodding and dragging and pulling you along to a greater possibility than you even imagine for yourself. That what you dream about can happen. Not someday, but today. Can happen right now. And are you ready for it? Are you ready to stand up and just shout from the rooftops? Look at me, here I am. Are you willing to let that light shine so brightly that it illuminates the darkness for others, that there's a shift that occurs in the consciousness of the people around you because they see the beauty that you are, the magnificence you are, and you inspire them to their greatness? Over the last few days, I've been rewriting my personal website, and it's been an interesting journey of trying to figure out, what do I want to say? What do I want my website to reflect about me? And what I realized is that years ago, I had a spiritual epiphany. I had a moment of enlightenment. And that moment was so profound that it changed the trajectory of my life. Why would I hide that? Why would I play small? Why would I allow myself to sit in the shadow? When something occurred that was so brilliant, so bright, so beautiful, that it changed everything, and it changed it in a minute. And from then, I've been working on trying to figure out what it all means, but I don't need to know that. I just need to show up. I just need to show up, as do you. Who are you? In the grand scheme of things, deep in your soul of souls, who are you? And are you willing to stand in that, to fight for that, to allow that light to shine so bright that you're absolutely immune to the judgment and criticism of others, that the way people tell you how to act and how to be, you go, enough, take a rest, take a pill, relax. I'm living in my heaven space. And it's not that we live in a space where we shun or destroy or stomp on others, but rather we bring people with us. When we're living from our sacred, authentic self, we're actually lifting. We're lifting everyone around us to a place of greatness and possibility. We revel in the beauty and the magnificence of every person's success because we know we're in it together, that there's only one thing going on and we're all some part of that one thing. And if all of us succeed, what a win is that? What a beautiful thing to be part of a world and a life and an experience that allows everybody to be great. That begins with a sense of curiosity and a desire to understand. I want to understand you. I want to know you. And the only way I can do that is to listen to your stories and your dreams and your desires and to acknowledge them as, yes, absolutely. I see that for you. That's what this community is all about. It's about allowing each one of us to be great, to be beautiful, to be loved and cherished and honored and respected. It is about being together for the highest and best good of all, not some, but all. CSL has a vision statement. I don't like it much, but it's a vision statement. And it is a world that works for everyone. And my challenge with that is we already have that because each one of us lives to our own consciousness. And I'm here to say that it could use a little uplift. So whenever I say that vision, I always say for the highest and best good of all. Because that to me is a vision I can strive for. And of course, the vision here is about transforming humanity through the emergence of that sacred, authentic self. It's about finding a rhythm in the universe where I can honor your path, regardless what it looks like, regardless if I look at it as right or wrong or good or bad, that is irrelevant. Your path is yours, mine is mine. And if we can be together on this journey called life and really celebrate one another, we begin to create the possibility of the world that John Lennon imagined when he wrote the song, Imagine. Imagine no more borders. Imagine living as one. Wow. I love that idea, but it really does require that each one of us stand up and stand out. This idea of fitting in, that is all mediocrity. I know we were trained that way through school, through our families, through relatives, through neighbors, friends, where we work. All those things suggested to us that we should fit into a little tiny box and behave. I'm saying give it up. Stop behaving. Stop behaving and start shouting from the rooftops, because you are created perfect, whole, and complete. You are unique and special, unrepeatable. And I am so glad that you are, because if you were exactly like me, wow, this would be a really boring world if all of us were just like me. So the diversity, the change, the differences, that's what's beautiful. And I love, even in my marriage, when I sit back and, I'm coming to, it's 21 years now, and I'm coming to understand my husband. And what I'm understanding is, we were raised in different ways. We had different families. There were different expectations. I was raised in a household with 10 kids. It was a noisy, rowdy, dysfunctional, chaotic place. He had a sister and a mom and dad. That's it. Like, that's kind of sounds like a quiet house to me. But there's that difference has brought us together and allows us to learn to understand one another. Unfortunately, we love each other enough to sort of walk that tightrope sometimes when it's like, you're doing what? But we all do it. We all do it. We don't necessarily understand each other. And I remember a while ago hearing about this thing called the human library. And I love this idea so much. And it's where two people sit facing each other and one person tells their life story to the other, and the other person simply listens. Wow. It's like in a library, right? You read a book, it's not talking back to you. You're just reading it. Well, here you get to receive this person. You get to hear their story. And the things that you will learn will light you up and bring you to tears and cause you to laugh. That's life. Life is about being present in the moments. It's about allowing yourself to drop your armor for a moment and show up. Let your heart be seen and felt by another. I remember walking down a pathway with a friend of mine a little while ago in a park, and there was a gentleman sitting on a park bench, and I may have shared this story another day, but he's reading The Godfather. Well, I remember when that book came out. I was a teenager then. Oops. Anyway, I read the book and I loved it, and I saw the movie and it was great, but I loved the book. And so he's reading this book and I went, oh, it's so good. And he goes, I know. And so we were laughing and I said, wow, I read it when I was a teenager. And he goes, teenager? Because that was 50 years ago. I said, I know. And he goes, you don't look that old. I went, oh, I love you so much. And, there was just a joy and a delight that we shared in that moment, although we never knew each other, but there was a connection, there was a sweetness, there was a moment that I treasure, because for a moment, we got to connect eye to eye and heart to heart. And we don't always let ourselves do that. And I think COVID has really set us up to hold back and to withhold and to withdraw. And I'm here to say, stop it. Life is short. Life is short. We can live in fear. We can. Or we can recognize that within me, there is a power infinite and eternal, untouchable, that the essence of me has never been harmed by anything or anyone at any time for any reason. And that this finite experience, yes, it will cease to exist, but the essence of me goes on. That the life that I'm living continues, that there is something in me that is unstoppable, unbreakable, and infinitely creative. That it loves beyond measure, that we're part of a loving, intelligent universe. And it's time for us to love one another, to see one another, to be willing to stop a stranger on the street just to say hello, to notice someone who looks particularly lovely one day and to tell them, even though you don't know them, to stop a stranger and take a moment to connect, to look at a street person and sit down and have a conversation. You'll be surprised what you find. There's beauty everywhere. And we've decided and held back and cut ourselves off from that beauty. And I say it's time to wake up. It's time to let go of the fear, the doubt, the worry, and to stand out, to stand up and love one another. There is only one thing going on, and we live, move, and have our being in it, not separate from. I am one with you. You are one with me. What I do in my life, what I do to me, I've done to you. So let us get together. Let us shine our light so bright that we lift the world around us, that we take the hatred, the animosity, the judgment, the criticism, and we surrender it into the ethers where it never existed for real, and allow it to stay there, and allow ourselves to stand up, to show up, to be who we were created to be. And if not now, when? You're a bright light in the universe. I invite you to shine that light. Give it away. Give it to the world. Remember that little song we used to sing as kids? This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let's do that. That wasn't just a little song we sang in Sunday school. That is the truth of who we are. A bright light in a world that's screaming for our attention. I invite you to be that light. God bless.
I could not do, what I could not see. Lift up my name for what I tried to be. Lift up my name for what I tried to be. And don't you worry about me, now I am alright. Hey. Don't worry about me, now I am alright. That money I had, let it fade into the night. That money I had, let it fade into the night. The Spirit of God is all that I am now. The Spirit of God is all that I am now. Oh, yeah. Oh, the Spirit of God is all that we are now. The Spirit of God is all that we are
Vibe. That woman has got some energy. I love it. Well, tax receipts. Yes, it is that time of the year. So for all of the money that was donated last year and at the end of 2021, those tax receipts will be going out at the end of the month. So just ensure that we have your email address, if you're okay to get it by email, or that we have your physical mailing address so that we can send that off to you. And we have a new class starting on February 25th, Saturday morning, 10 a.m. to 12:30. It's a 6-week class. It is a prerequisite for anyone who is planning on doing practitioner studies with me in September. So this is based on the work of Thomas Troward. And he wrote, relying on the maxim that principle is not bound by precedent, we should not limit our expectations of the future. And if our speculation leads us to the conclusion that we have reached a point where we are not only able, but also required by the law of our own being to take a more active part in our personal evolution than heretofore, the discovery will afford us a new outlook upon life and widen our horizon with fresh interest and brightening hopes. Man, that's a mouthful. Thomas Troward is a brilliant genius who wrote some remarkable stuff in the late 1800s, actually. So his languaging is a little different than ours, but the truth is that his writings are the key to the success that most of us are seeking, that ability to really acknowledge and be who we were created to be, and to stop hiding from the world that we think has defined us, and instead to stand out in a way that allows us to shine our brilliance. So very, very good stuff. Spirit Cafe tomorrow at noon, or not tomorrow, excuse me, Wednesday at noon. Now, Cheryl Rogers is on vacation in Mexico. Lucky girl. She should have taken me with her, but I didn't fit in her suitcase. Anyway, another Cheryl Driscoll, also known as C, she will be with us on Wednesday. Now, we're going to do things a little bit differently. She's going to interview me on Wednesday. So instead of me being a co-host, I'm going to be the person interviewed. So looking forward to that. I think it'll be wonderful. And this Friday on my Joy Show, which is 3 p.m. Eastern time on Fridays. This week it's Anne-Marie Warburton, and she's a jewelry designer. And she has a great shop in Alton Mills. And we have a great connection, and I know that the show is going to be brilliant. So I invite you to log in on YouTube and check out the Joy Show. And not only just this Friday, every Friday. And in fact, if you go to CSL on the Lake, on our YouTube channel, you will see all of our past episodes, and there's some really, really great ones there. Even our meditator today, Rico, I did an interview with him, and that is in our archive. So lots of great information there. Well, thank you so much for joining this evening, and I hope something said or done has touched your heart. And I want to invite you to give generously. We're looking at, reconstructing things so we can get in-person events happening again. And of course, there'll be hybrid events. because we have people from across the country who tune in on YouTube, Facebook, and of course here on Zoom. So I just want to invite you to give generously, knowing that you're supporting a remarkable teaching and an expanding consciousness. So let us join together in consciousness as we close out this service. And I just want to remind you, we do stick around and have a chat afterwards. If you have the time, we would love for you to stay on and we can say hello to one another. So let us join together in consciousness as we close this evening's event. It is with an